Hello everybody and welcome. This is a big day. Actually, it's a big night. It's the first in a new series of SATSANGs. Well, SATSANG is a thing I just invented. It doesn't really exist. And hang on, let me just going to close the Facebook page so I don't have too much bandwidth problem. So this is going to be a weekly thing, and it's going to be rather unusual. I haven't seen anything else like this out there, and that's kind of the point. And over the course of the next hour or so, I'm going to tell you all about it, and I'm also going to give you a typical SATSANG. So to start off with, you might be wondering what a SATSANG is. Well, then I'll tell you a little bit about me. SATSANG is nothing. But a SATSANG is something. Now, a SATSANG is something that comes from, I think it's Eastern traditions, and it comes from Sanskrit. And what it basically means is a gathering or an assembly of good people or truth-seeking people, or even an assembly of the truth. And that's what I want to do. I want to assemble a group of people, basically me and you, together every week in the spirit of a SATSANG. But because my focus is very much on creativity, I wasn't going to use a word that had already been used by someone else. So I called it SATSANG. My name is Sab, and that's the sort of thing I do. So the aim of this is going to be every week. Obviously, it's going to be me sharing my stuff because I produce my stuff, not somebody else's. But don't think that that means all I'm going to talk about is me, because it's not. I'm going to give you examples of my stuff, and then I'm going to offer you the chance to ask questions relating to your stuff. And also, what happens very often is when I create something, questions come up, ideas come up, perplexing questions often come up, deep questions often come up, and sometimes just downright humorous nonsense comes up as well. I specialize in taking photographs in Paris, walking around Paris with I used to have a big fancy camera with about 50 buttons, and now I've got this, which is called an iPhone. And the funny thing is, near the end of my career as a big hefty camera heaving guy, I was finding that I wasn't ever taking any Paris photo pictures because I never had my camera with me. So I decided, well, when I discovered, thanks to a photo client person that I'd been taking around Paris, they had this amazing thing that looked a bit like this. And there were pictures on the screen and lots of little square pictures. And she went like this with her finger and they went up and down. And I was stunned, And the quality wasn't so great in those days, but then it got better and now it's amazing. And now I take all my street photographs on this, almost, except when I'm with clients and they want to see a big fancy camera. Because for me, the skill, the genius of street photography is in the eye and what you've lived, not in how many buttons your camera's got. That's another story. We'll talk about it some other time. So that's the principle of a SATSANG. Which I'm calling a SATSANG. Now, if you look for SATSANGs on the internet, you will find them. You'll find them on YouTube. There's tons of them. And I was actually inspired by an amazing guy called 𝗪𝗓𝗪, and he does I'm going to have to watch out here. I'm saying SATSANG instead of SAT. He does a SATSANG on Sunday evenings, and it's just marvelous. It's an occasion to go into deep reflection on the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, actually. The sort of thing you did when you were a student and you sat around drinking and smoking. I didn't smoke. And listening to spaced out music and wondering why the hell we're here and solving the problems of the universe. And then you kind of got a serious job and didn't do that anymore. What a shame. Until you're about 40 or 50 and you start asking the same questions. What the hell am I doing here? I thought I was supposed to be happy. You know, I've got my house, I've got my shiny wife and beautiful car, and the right number of kids, more or less, and go on my holidays every year and go to my tennis club on a Saturday and have Sunday lunch with the in-laws. I mean, and I'm not happy. And that's what happens to quite a few people. And I've been through a few of those. And all of this goes to make up a life experience. And that's the sort of thing I'll be offering you. So let me show you the themes of this. It may change. Actually, let me tell you first of all, this is called the Saturday SATSANG because it sounds kind of nice. Saturday SATSANG. I was going to call it the Sunday SATSANG. But there's other guys who do it on Sunday, and then there's a kind of religious connotation, and that's a kind of poety type guy. I was thinking Sunday SATSANG. I thought it'd be quite nice to have Saturday SATSANG. You see, sat, but it was a bit longer, Saturday SATSANG. But then I thought, if it's going to be a kind of summary of everything I've done in the week and how that's impacted me, and then you guys sharing with me and we discuss it, then it'd be kind of good to leave Sunday to the Lord, you know. Maybe I could just maybe do nothing for once on a Sunday, or even see those things called families and relatives or friends, or who knows. We'll see how it goes. So I thought, okay, we'll go for Saturday. What happened? Why is it 5:30 on a Saturday, on a Sunday morning? Because that ain't Saturday by most folks' reckonings, except for anyone in the States who's staying up late. Australia's probably, I don't know what Australia's doing. I never know what Australia's doing. So this is an interest. I also do coaching, and I was in a group, and I'd been putting off doing this thing for a good 12 hours or so. I'd been planning it from the morning. Time went by, had other things to do, kept putting it off, had some more nice banners to produce, and time went on. And I hadn't done it. And it came to the evening, and I kind of forced myself to do it. I went out, made a video for one of the groups I'm in with coaches in, and I kind of suggested that I really wanted to do it but couldn't get around to it. Bam, had a couple of messages from a couple of coaches holding me to what I was saying and saying, okay, you do it. You want an accountability partner? We're here. You do it. That was 7 hours ago. So it still took me 7 hours to start the damn thing. So I'm up at 5:30 in the morning on a Sunday morning, claiming this is a Saturday SATSANG, and maybe it'll be on Saturday next week. We'll see. Here's the structure for the time being. There's a theme. There'll be a theme each week, but it'll be a rough theme, and it'll probably just be relating to one thing I've thought about. And I'm calling it I Exist Therefore. The second section is going to be where I share some of my creative creations. And that might be photographs, it might be writing, it could be a poetry, it could be art. And some people start their satsangs with a bit of music. That's kind of one of the things. It's crazy because I love music. I've spent millions of pounds on music, and yet I've never managed to master an instrument. I always leave it to other people to make nice sounds. But from time to time, I invest in an expensive instrument, which I never actually use. And I've just done that again, well, a few months ago. And I saw this kind of spiritually teacher type guy that I follow on the Sunday evening. And he had one. Oh, and God, I wanted it. So I got one like it. It's not the same, but I got one similar. I'm going to show it to you. And my aim is that over the months and years, I'll be able slowly to give you a little bonging intro to these events. So let me just show it to you. It's pretty impressive. This is its case. Now check this out. Ta-ta! This is, my friends, called a rav drum, and it makes a beautiful noise. I can't play it because it's about, well, it's 5:30 in the morning, and the neighbors will complain if they're not complaining already. But just talking, you probably can't hear. I'm just talking and it's resonating. Listen. Hello, hello, hello. And if you bong it, how beautiful is that? So not today, but one of my aims is to inspire myself to learn this thing and to play it for you. I've actually got this dream, and it's going to be, I'm going to sit on the Pont des Arts in the middle of Paris, because I live in Paris. I'm going to play my musical drum. I'm going to have my paintings out in front of me. And I'm going to be that weirdo that sits on the Pont des Arts on a Sunday playing a musical drum with his paintings out in front of him. And we'll see what happens. So next time you're in Paris, look out for that. A bit of a coffee fan. I'm not on the creative selection. I'm on the I exist therefore. Right, let's head into the first part. I exist therefore. This is going to be me giving a theme to this hour or two. And let me just say that the spirit of this, of course, there's no one watching at the moment because it's the middle of the night for most of the people I know, and nobody knows it's happening. But the idea is you can ask questions at any time. Ask your questions, I'll pop them up, and I'll answer them. They can be on creative questions, they can be on productivity questions, they can be on coaching questions, they can even be on more deep and meaningful spiritual stuff if you like. I can only respond in the way I can respond, so there's no promises, I'm no guru, I'm not anything. Although, having said that, guru is an interesting word because it doesn't mean originally the weird guy with the big beard who occasionally, a bit like Catholic priests, does weird stuff with followers and is the head of a cult and steals their money and their wives. That isn't what guru actually means originally, I think, and I have no grounding in this whatsoever. So don't look to me for deep spiritual teachings or quotes left, right, and centre. I'm probably not going to quote anybody, and I prefer it that way. My thing's creativity, and part of my belief, my ethos in terms of creativity is that I create stuff. I don't use other people's stuff. Having said that, obviously, tons and tons of the stuff that I do is influenced by others, and that's great. I just couldn't quote them because I've got a terrible memory. So what was I saying? Yeah, so guru actually means dispeller of darkness, which is absolutely cool, I think. Dispeller of darkness. In other words, you provide clarity to people who can't see very clearly. And obviously that isn't really meaning with their eyes. It's meaning more with their inner spirit or whatever. And I like that idea. You know, people are foggy about stuff, why they're here in life, what's life about. I would love to be someone who could dispel that darkness, even just for one or two people. That would be marvelous. So in that sense of the definition of guru, I'm for it. But I'm not going to be going around calling myself a guru anytime soon. So ask your questions. That's what this show is about. I provide you with stimuli, and you respond with questions relating to what I have offered you. Okay, it's not just a free-for-all. We don't get into big discussions or debates, and there's no sort of infighting or anything. It's very cordial, very calm. The idea is that it's an hour or two of really deep reflection, which is a traditional satsang. But my thing is with tons of creativity thrown in, creativity, positivity, the sort of coaching side of things as well. I exist therefore. This relates actually, various things. A few years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, I created a website because that's one of the things I do. I'm great at starting, not so great at finishing. I created a website and it was called I Create, Therefore I Am. This had come from the idea of Descartes, was it? I'm not supposed to be quoting, but that's maybe the only one I know, who said, I think, therefore I am. Je pense, donc je suis, something like that. Recently, I've come to throw that into question, thinking that instead of saying, I think, therefore I am, therefore I think, could actually be a cooler way of looking at it. That's for a different discussion. But going back about 4 years, I created a site called I Create, Therefore I Am .something. I can't remember what it is now. It might not be com. And I was creating all sorts of stuff for that, you know, and it was really good. Basically, anything that allows me to create is good for me. I'll go for it. I exist, therefore. Now, I'll be presenting you with tons of stuff that I've created, like pictures and words and paintings. So that's going to be really concrete. But the flip side of that is, why the hell are we here? What is existence? What does it mean to say I exist? What does it mean to say I? Who is I? Or what is I? Now, there I've zoomed in. After about 15 minutes, I've just given you the question that we'll be discussing for the next maybe 30 years. It's the biggie. It's the one that we discussed when we were students, smoking and drinking and listening to Spaced Out Pink Floyd, or The Hangman's Beautiful Daughter, who was that by, or Frank Zappa, or Captain Beefheart, the incredible string band. And we've come back to it. We've come full circle. So if you're someone who enjoys questioning things and looking for deeper meaning, this will be falling out of practically everything I do. Sometimes it won't at all. Sometimes I'll just be talking purely about artistic things, artistic decisions, or it could be something about how to be more creative. And other times I'll just go off on a tangent into the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, which I do think actually comes down to having lots of coffee and croissant in Paris, but that's another thing. So I'm just going to leave that there. Now, someone is watching. I've got my first ever viewer. Hello, viewer. This is a new show. It's going to be most weeks, and it's called a SATSANG, and it's me sharing creative stuff and talking about weird and wonderful ideas. So if you want to ask a question in the chat, you can ask a question in the chat, and I will say hello and talk to you. That's in a nutshell. So let's skip on from the I exist therefore thing. No, I'll just say one more thing on that. And what that was, that I did an online again, discovery, philosophical, deep and meaningful thing. And it was 3 weeks. And it was 1 hour a day on a kind of webinar thing where you could interact if you wanted to. And it was called Before the Therefore. And I'll give a name check because this guy is pretty amazing. He's called Michael Neal. Check him out. So anytime I can give you a reference for something that I found really interesting, I will. Let me just show you a book of his. He's into coaching and he does other stuff. So, for example, this is his latest book, Super Coach Michael Neal. So I was watching a thing by which he was running, and it was called Before the Therefore. Before the Therefore. So for about 15 hours, we were discussing what it means to do things before the therefore. In other words, before asking questions, before saying, well, I could do this, but before the but. So there was a lot of butt kicking. And it all came down in the end to being more spontaneous, trusting the universe. In other words, that sounds a bit weird and out there. Trust the universe, man. But the thing is, it's not really, because, for example, where do ideas come from? Oh God, I had a great idea yesterday. You'll never guess. Why don't we do this? That's fine. You're off on your idea. You're talking about it. But where did it come from? You could possibly drag out scientific explanations, but in the end, it's just kind of weird, isn't it? Where do ideas come from? For me, they come from the trees, because when I'm walking in the woods, which I love doing, often I get countless ideas just when I've let my mind settle down. I've given it space to not think. I haven't said not think. I'm just not thinking. I'm walking. There's something about nature. You walk around in nature. You look at the trees, and as you look at the tree, you don't worry about that you haven't, ordered the milk or put the bins out or finished that report. You just generally don't. There's something about nature that gives you chilled out feelings. And because your brain has sort of been put on pause, what does it do? Well, it doesn't go to sleep, actually. It actually slams out more ideas than you can possibly use. That's what I find. I used to run around a wood near where I used to live, and I could run around it about 3 times before going home. And on the first run round, it's like your body's saying thank you. I mean, you're pushing your body, but it's saying thank you for just doing something where all I've got to do is think about putting my next foot down. When that one's down, all I've got to do is think about putting my next one down and doing this with my arms. And it kind of says, thank you at last. Have some ideas. And on my first run round, I'd get an amazing idea and it'd be churning around. You know, I wouldn't be trying to think about it. It was thinking me. The thought was thinking me. So I said, right, got to remember that. Second time round, another thought comes. And it's even more amazing than the first one. And it starts to push out the first thought. And I'm thinking, shit, I've got to hold on to these two ideas now. And all the time, my kind of relaxed brain is working on the idea. Third time round, did you guess? A third idea comes. And by this time, the first idea is getting a bit, a bit weak, a bit pale. And the second one's being pushed out as well. It's a bit like the idea of when you have a dream, you have an amazing idea. You've got to write it down, otherwise it'll go. And all you'll remember is that you had a great idea once. So I don't run with a pen. So my big challenge in running isn't keeping going. It's remembering the 3 amazing ideas I had before I get home. Then I get home and write them down quickly. And it could be the idea for 3 different articles. I write an article and I publish a Paris street photograph every day. I did this. Let me show you. I'm skipping, but let me just show you this to make it a bit more interesting for you. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Application window is good because I can see lots of things. Here we are. Right, so you should be able to see this okay. Well, this is actually saying what this show is. So if you've just joined, I'll show you what this show is about. The Saturday SATSANG, because I've seen a couple of people have joined. Welcome and ask questions. Do ask questions. Look, I've even got a banner which says ask questions. So there's no excuse. You say hello or you ask questions, say where you're from, and I'll say hello and I'll answer your questions or discuss them. That's what this whole thing is about. I give you creative stuff that I've produced. You give me feedback on it. You talk about your creative stuff. You ask questions and I talk about it. So this show is one of 3 live shows I'm working on now. So I'm someone who creates, I'm someone who gets stuff out there. And I'm hoping just that, for whatever it's worth. I'm not claiming it's worth anything, but for whatever it's worth, I hope that will inspire you. Just the idea of doing it, just some guy sitting in his room somewhere in some suburb produces stuff, which is now being broadcast around the world. So these are examples to make you think if you could do something similar. That's what this is about. So I've got 3 shows. This is the Saturday SATSANG, which is this, and this is show number 1. What have I've written? I write all my blurb, you see. Join me. It's a weekly sharing of creative inquiry. Join me, creative wanderer Sab Will, in Paris, virtually, on Saturdays. I'm a bit late for a deep and meaningful dive into the wonderful world of creativity, happiness, and the very essence of existence itself. Oh, yes. And a fair sprinkling of coffee. There it is, you see. I'm not joking. My origins are showing. Look, that's London, although I was born in Edinburgh. And a fair sprinkling of coffee. Croissant. I think I'm in Paris because of croissant. And, of course, that famous irreverent British humour. Well, I wrote this stuff, so it doesn't sound so cool when I read it. But anyway, there you go. We also do a thing. I do a thing with a friend of... no, this isn't it. This is where the shows are going to be. So I'll leave that at that. So yeah, I was just saying that I publish photographs every day, creative photographs of Paris every day, and a text. Now, this is to tell you that I just started doing it and I haven't stopped. And I started 580 days ago. So I started on the 1st of January, 2018. And I wasn't even going to do it. I'd done it before. I published things like that for 1,000 days, stopped, was doing other stuff. And I had this thing was bugging me. I was getting more and more irritated by not being creative. Life events and stuff had happened and I wasn't producing. I wasn't getting stuff out there. And my brain was turning to mush. And I did this challenge. And the idea was to do a challenge starting about the 20th of January. You would create a goal and you would go for it for 100 days and 90 days. And in 90 days, you would probably reach the goal. Well, there was a kind of warm up to that. You were supposed to produce something every day for a week. what happened was I never bothered with the goal, but I carried on producing the thing every day for a week, which was my Paris photograph. So I publish a Paris photograph with a text every day. And it looks like this. I'm still going, that's the thing. And I don't even realize that I'm doing it. It's become part of my life. So if you want a way of just integrating something into your life, just do it and make sure it doesn't take long, but you do it daily. And before you know it, I mean, let me show you these things. This is the website that I created for them. Now look, this is my last. I arranged them in groups of 9, 3x3 grids. All right, so that is the last 9. I'm getting really hot here, so I'm just going to strip off a little bit. Da-na-na-na-na. So this is how I show my photographs in grids of 3x3. And they're called When Lady Eiffel Smiles. That's the name of the theme. And they are basically, I go to Paris. Paris is my theme. I go to Paris with my trusty phone charged. I have no idea what Paris is going to give me, but it always gives me something. I call the Eiffel Tower Lady Eiffel. I call her my muse because it's funny to do that. I've been in Paris half my life now, 25 years. Well, I'm 53, going on 54. And Paris has absolutely changed my life. Now, one of the main things I will say is that I use Paris to inspire me creatively, but you don't have to. You can use wherever you are. Paris could be anywhere. It just happens to be Paris for me. But it doesn't matter where I am. I am not inspired by the places. I've decided to sell my soul, my creative soul, to Paris, just for fun. But to be honest, it's kind of worked. Now I'm stuck in Paris. When I go to other amazing places like Barcelona or London or anywhere, sometimes I don't even take my camera out because I've sold my creative soul to Paris. But you can't do everything. And also, when you're on holiday, aren't you supposed to be looking at other people that you're with, not you know, selfie. Anyway, so this is what I do every day. So these are 9 days worth. That's the grid of the photos. This is the grid of the photos with the text. It's the same photographs with the text. You can't read it. You have to go down. And these are the same. This is the same grid, but you can click on each individual photograph, and up it comes. There it is. I'll do ask questions, by the way, if you are watching, and you've got a question, even if it's just to say hello and where you are, that'd be great. Let me feel less alone. This is actually, let's move into the creative section, right? Section 2, creative selection. Right, so you can click on any of these and up they come. All right, so it's a nice way to see them. Now I cover anything that Paris throws at me. I have no idea what Paris is going to throw at me, but what it often throws at me is homeless people. Now I play around with the photographs afterwards. I've been doing photography for a long time, so I try to take the best photograph I possibly can to start off with. So when you look at my photographs, even if you see an effect, I would never publish a photograph just based on its effect. It has to be a photograph that interests me. I say me because I can't talk for anybody else, but it has to be a photograph that I think is worth publishing, even before I play around with the colors. I do play around with the colors. One of the things that does kind of bug me a little bit is when people look at a photograph and say, oh, wow, what app did you use? I did use an app, but that's not really the point. So my objective is, with my Paris photographs, is to produce images which are halfway between the grim reality, which is often any city, including Paris. It's not all glamorous, and some kind of fantasy, dreamland, imaginary world, because that's what I see in my head. I walk around in a dream. I'm on a different planet sometimes, which my son has inherited, and I'm quite happy there. Sometimes I have to translate what I'm trying to say into earthling tongue, but anyway, basically when it comes down to art, you show your stuff I don't think you should explain it too much, but I do appreciate if people want an explanation because they're interested, and I'll give them one. But first of all, just look and see what happens. Just let me show you these. This is in Père-Lachaise, probably the most amazing cemetery in the world. It's the place to be seen dead. There are 3 amazing cemeteries in Paris, at least, but 3 biggies. One is Montparnasse. One is, you get a beautiful view of the tower, the monstrous tower. The only thing good going for the Montparnasse tower, the only thing is that you can go up to the top, get a fantastic view of Paris and not see the Montparnasse tower. There's a cemetery in Montmartre, which is very, very cool. And it's also got my grave in it. No, I'm not dead yet, but when I am, there's a grave with my surname, Will, on it. It's a double-barreled one, but I kind of hide it in the photographs, and it looks like I've got my own tomb in Montmartre Cemetery. How cool is that? So I've got this plan. I use my Paris photographs and the text, above all the text. If you look at the texts, you can see there's texts. And these texts are a mixture of deep philosophical ramblings, attempts at some sort of humor, informative factoids about and curiosities about Paris, the occasional poem, and personal anecdotes and anything else that comes to me. And what's happened is, bear in mind, I'm on number 580 now, and that's every day. Stuff is coming out. Things are happening. My life is changing. And I use them as a kind of a philosophical notepad. So if you want to follow me and see what really is going on, it's kind of scary to tell you this, but it's almost all there. Every nuance, every creative urge, every doubt, even some personal stuff, whilst respecting the innocent, protecting them anyway, is there. So, so as you can see, the text for me is crafted as carefully as the photograph. That's my intention in any case. It's what it is, but I do put a lot of effort into it, even to the point of they've become little mini works of art. Every time I produce one, I get a kick, and you literally get humans, we like to have little boosts, little wins. This is one of the best way of making progress in anything, is to have regular little wins. I've never written a book. I've never even wanted to write a book, but tons of people have this dream of writing a book. Not me, because I need sort of almost instant gratification. I'm not saying it's a good quality. I think it probably isn't, but I've been spending, most of my life looking for that, sometimes in not such wise ways. Now I've found a way which is great for me. I get a little kick, a creative win every single day, and it's a double whammy because it's text plus image. So if you look at this, every one, so the whole thing is a work. I plan where to put the text in relation to the image. At first, I covered everything with the text. These days, I'm a bit more discerning, and I try to let little ideas slip through. For example, this one is crafted so that you've got these 2 funny faces, the gargoyle, the original gargoyle, and this more modern piece. And I've crafted the text around it so you can actually see them both. Before, I just sort of slapped it right over and had done with it. Just by the way, it's amazing how often I will see something really cool in a photograph after I get home, after I look at it, the photograph. And here, there's a blue roof on this little guy here, which is a blue sharp triangle. And up here in the top, opposite diagonal corner, is another blue triangle. And I spotted that consciously after. Maybe I did see it as I was taking it, but not consciously. I was worrying about the angles. And my challenge to people is to find a single horizontal or vertical angle in this photograph. You'll have problems. Angles are only created in relation to the edges. So you can create an angle with anything. One of the things I'm most known for in my photography is angles, because I hardly ever take a photograph straight. Here's a tip. You want to take a photograph like a tourist, so crap. You see something nice. You say, that's nice. You maybe point at it, so everyone knows what you've seen. Then you lift your camera up to your eye like this. That's very important. Don't move your body at all. Lift your camera up to your eye and click. And you will have a tourist shot, and it won't be artistic, and there will be bins in it, and there will be people's heads chopped off or arms coming out of nowhere, and there you go. So don't do that if you want to take photographs which are a little bit artistic. So let me just show you the next chapter as well. Now, the next chapter is 9 photographs, and I've got this crazy scheme. And the scheme is, well, I started by doing, I wondered if I would be able to do 9 photographs and text in a row. I did. 9, not a big challenge. Then I decided to see if I could try and do, well, I like 9s because my paintings are in 9s. My paintings are squares of 3 by 3, and I'll show you them in a minute. So I thought I would do my photographs like that as well. I would arrange them in 3 by 3 grids. So after 9, I thought, well, I've done 1,000 before. 9 isn't that big a deal. What about if I did 9 times 9? So 9 grids of 3 times 3. That's 81. Cool. I did it. That was 81 days. And then I was thinking, okay, let's go for the biggie. 9 times 9 times 9, which is 729 photographs, 729 texts and photographs. Pretty damn good if I can manage it. And I haven't finished. But I once did 1,000 days in a row. So, and I'm at number 580 approximately now. So I think it's going to happen, and it'll take 2 years. Funnily enough, 9 times 9 times 9 is 729 days, which is 730 days, I think, is 2 years or something like that. Anyway, it's to the day, or 1 day's difference. So by the end of this year, I will have done 9 times 9 times 9. But that's not 1,000, and I've done 1,000 before. So I like challenges. So I said to myself, okay, what about if I did 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 Paris Photo Chronicles? And I did the math, and the math was scary. The math was 6,561 photo chronicles. And it would take 9 times 2 years, which is 18 years. So I have to live until I'm 70 to finish this, and it will be my life's work. So if I show you these things again. So one of these things, one of these squares here is a chapter. Okay, so this is a chapter. I need to do 729 of these chapters to meet my goal of 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 photos. Okay, you get the idea. It's a huge challenge. When I finish this year and I'm still going, that'll be it. I'll be committed for 18 years. You know, I've either got to say, yep, I'm doing it, or I'm not. But once I'm a 9th in, I guess I'm going to go for it, which is quite a good incentive to live for another 18 years or so. Not that I'm thinking I'm dying that soon, but, you know, you never know. They say that when your mind wants to do something, it'll work out how to do it, including healing disease. So there you go. So let me just show you one more. It's my next chapter, which has, has just started, and I thought I would do something different this time. It was influenced by the last one, where there was a red bike. I don't know if you remember the red bike. I actually closed the window that I had it in. So I was looking at this photograph with the red bike, this one here, okay? And I thought, oh, that's nice. I wonder if I could do a theme on red. All right, so there it is. Very nice, 2 red bikes with an article to go with it, of course. And I looked at the photographs that were in my waiting folder, and I saw 9 photographs with bits of red in. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go for it. There's not always a theme. There's hardly ever a theme, but I do try to arrange them nicely. But this time I said, let's go for red. So as a kind of teaser, I did the grid without text, and this is it. But I've covered it in black. You can hardly see what there is. I've just revealed the red bits. So I don't know if you can imagine what all those red bits are, but they will be revealed little by little. I'm on number 3 now. So the first one was this. It was the amazing Pompidou Centre. This is just a nuts building, which isn't English, but it kind of sums up the thing. You know, back in the 70s, what were they thinking of? Paris is, you know, you just don't build buildings in Paris that don't look like the classic Haussmannian, you know, perfect little cute Paris buildings with all the nice floors, and then up there, the 5th floor, you've got the black railings, and then a couple of floors more, you've got the sort of slate grey roof thing with the windows in, the chambre de bonne, where the slaves, the home helpers used to live, and now it's students and people like me who can't afford anywhere else. And they built this thing. I mean, it's higher than all of those buildings, and it's huge, and it's in the middle of Paris, and it's a fucking eyesore, unless you like it. I don't ask Paris to be how I want it to be. I enjoy the fact that Paris does what it wants, and I wander around and absorb it through my senses and also through my lens. So I go to Paris and Paris speaks to me. And okay, it's a bit of a cliche, and I could actually have taken a more funky photograph if I'd got right underneath those pipes and looking up, and that was another photograph. But look what happened. This is stunning. I mean, I love photographs that amaze me, and if they're mine, so much the better. And I'm not saying anything about them being amazing. I'm just saying that I love when I produce something like this. This doesn't happen in real life. This only exists on your computer screen. You know, you walk into Paris, you go to the Pompidou Centre, you will not see this view. But look, you've got the big red rectangular metro sign, so it's typically Paris, down in the bottom right, at an angle. In the top left, you've got 3 identical big rectangular, same red chunks of stuff. They're smaller, but that's balanced by the fact that there's 3 of them. The angle is complementary. It goes the other way. It's the same red. It's amazing. I absolutely, you know, I mean, I would do this at any photograph, but the fact that it's mine, you know, I produced it. I am in love with what can happen when you go to Paris and you don't know what's going to happen. And I love sharing it, you know, with no pretensions whatsoever. I just love sharing. And if this means anything to anyone, even if they think I'm completely nuts to go nuts over this, well, you know, people go nuts over lots of things, don't they? Some people go nuts over hitting a ball over a net for hours on end. So I go nuts over putting red rectangles that way in that corner and other red rectangles that way in that corner. And there you go. That's me. This one, I'll talk about these 3 and then we'll do something else. Has anyone got any questions? No questions. Thank you, guys. You could say hello. You have to be on the Infinity Coaching page to say hello. So if you've left a hello on another page where I shared this, I won't see it. You have to be on Infinity Coaching Facebook page, which is, I think it's in the description. And if you go to Infinity Coaching Paris, you'll find it. So that's probably why I'm not getting any comments at the moment. So let me talk about this one. Now, this was on the same walk. It was a stunning walk. I just decided to get off, instead of taking the train back home directly after having gone to 𝗏𝗏, I decided to walk from 𝗏𝗏, which is on one side of the river, to the train station on the other. And I got about 10 or 20 shots that I will use for my Paris Photo Chronicles. It's just amazing. Thank you, Paris. Thank you, Lady Eiffel. And this is a huge pair of lips. It's a fountain right next to the Pompidou Center. And I think it was also, in the 1980s, I think it was. And the guy, you can see a sculpture here, which is a black sculpture behind the red lips. And the whole fountain was going to be like this. It's called the Stravinsky Fountain, the composer, after the composer, who spent a lot of time in Paris. And so the guy got commissioned, Jean Tinguely, something like that. Tinguely is quite a nice name. I don't know if it's that. And he was going to do this fountain, and it was in sort of somber black tones with these sort of mechanical things that moved around and spouted a bit of water, but it was black. How fun is that? He was married to a woman called 𝗏𝗍 𝗏𝗓𝗏. Let me just look at my text. It's all here. 𝗏𝗍 𝗏𝗏. And she did the opposite of her husband. She was a sculptress that did amazing, more colorful than colorful items, and voluptuous women with huge eyes and just stunning curves and colors, and it was just ridiculous. And I don't know if it was, I think it was he who said, couldn't my wife do some stuff here too to balance things out a bit? And eventually they did. So the fountain is this wonderful mixture of somber black mechanical devices, intriguing things, and these big funny, like, look at this heart here in the background. It goes with the Pompidou Center. The Pompidou Center's got these primary colors, green, red. Okay, maybe green isn't primary. Red, blue, and yellow. And the heart here has got those colors as well. You know, it's nuts. By the way, if you want to read my photograph, you'll learn something about why these colors are different, what they represent. I'll leave that to you to find out. Go to parissetmefree.com. Now, for me, I don't like taking pictures of other people's stuff without adding anything to it of my own. For me, this isn't creativity. You see it so often, you know, you see people publishing pictures of graffiti from Paris. And you look at it and you think, well, that's a good graffiti artist, but the photographer is invisible. They're not an artist, they're a snapper. They haven't added anything. And that doesn't interest me. I have to add something original to my photographs. Otherwise, why take the photograph? Unless I've been commissioned to photograph some other artist's work. That's not art for me. The thing is, you never know what's going to happen, though, especially with photography. You just have no clue. You have no clue. If you have a clue, your photographs will be crap, because you'll be desperately trying to get the photograph that you went to get, and you'll be missing all the other amazing ones. So there I was, wandering around with my phone in my sneaky way, with my clever techniques, because nobody knows that I'm taking their photograph in my photographs. That's important for me. You won't see any post photographs, or maybe 1 in 500. And that was just because he spotted me and post. So I often see the shot that I love when I get home, and I look and I think, oh, I didn't see that. So I'm not sure if you can see what's so funny about this photograph, but if I go to this with the text, you might see what I'm getting at. Now there's two parts to this. There's the big red lips up top. And what have we got here? We've got absolutely beautiful, identical lips, real ones this time, to the ones you can see up here. And she's a beautiful woman as well. So there you go. That's the thing. That's what happened. That's the shot. The shot isn't anything else. It could have been, because she's got an expression on her face, and she was sitting between 2 other ladies, and they were all 3 of them going like this. And I've got another shot. Maybe it's this one. What they're actually looking at, I think, is this guy going past with a big tummy. I don't know if they literally were sort of gawping at this guy's stomach, but in my photograph, you can see the 3 of them like this. And on the side of the photograph, this big stomach just about to enter the shot. So But the thing with photography as well is don't try and do everything or you'll get nothing. That's the tourist shot. Got everything, but so what? You don't even know what the subject is. Or maybe it's that lamppost or that bin. So I had to decide what's the shot. And in zooming in, I found the shot, or the shot found me, whatever way you want to look at it. And I made it look pretty as well. There you go. This last one there's text to go with all of these. So I'm not answering questions because there aren't any, but if there were questions, I would be answering them. And so that's what will be happening over the weeks and months as people get to know that this is on and hopefully like it. You'll be asking questions and I'll be answering them. So there's text, there's creative text to go with each of these photographs, and I spend quite some time on them. So that's there. I'm not going to read them all, but they're there. This one, I didn't know what to do with it. It's in Père Lachaise cemetery again. I wasn't sure what to do. But very often I start writing and inspiration comes. I never seem to not have inspiration, but sometimes I have to help it along. So I was thinking, what can I do with this? I was thinking, graveyards, often I produce something a bit morbid, a bit miserable. And then I started thinking, God, this should inspire a poem, to be honest. It's a graveyard, so there's dead people, and yet there's this poignant little kids thing almost. I don't think an adult would put that there unless it was the grave of a kid, and I can't remember. But maybe a kid put it there, which makes it even more poignant. I feel my throat tightening as I say this. So I thought that's poetry fodder, that is. But then I didn't want to do something miserable again. I wanted to do something a bit lighter. But anyway, so I started writing a text about that. And I ended up writing a poem as well. So let me exceptionally, well, it's only the first show, there's no exception. But let me show you what I did. So I wrote a text which was really to inspire me to actually write a poem. And it worked. And this is also remarkable, this one. It's number 588. I think it's the only one ever in this series where I've used a non-black background. So there's that. So let me read it, kind of. Where did my poetry go, my lovely? I don't know if you know that song. Where do you go to, my lovely, when you're alone in your bed? Tell me the thoughts that surround you. I want to see inside your head. Yes, I do. They've even got a bit of accordion, which is a bit of a Parisian taste. Where do you go to, my lovely? Peter Sarstedt. My God, that's old. My God, I'm old. So, I might read a text every week, just one that I like or that I think is interesting. So, where did all my poetry go, my lovely? I was thinking, where the hell? I haven't written poetry for months, and this is bugging me. And what's amazing is I hadn't written poetry for years. I've got a new poetry site. I've put all my poetry on it, and I was looking through the years, and I was thinking, bloody hell, back in the sort of noughties, I was writing like 10 poems a year, 20 poems a year, 30 poems a year, and for the last 4 or 5 years, nothing. It's terrible. Like 2014, 5 poems. 2015, 3 poems. 2016, 1 poem. What the hell? And then when I started this writing every day, suddenly I looked back as I was putting the poems that I'd written as part of these Paris Photo Chronicles, transferring those over to the poetry site. I thought, what? I've written 30 poems this year. That is how exciting, that is how amazing just doing something every day is if you want to be creative. I was so happy about that. Poetry had found me again. And then even this year, up until a few months ago, I was up to about, 15 poems or something like that. I was really excited. Then shit happened and boom, creativity went down. So I was pissed off about that. So this is my attempt to write something again. So I wrote, where did my poetry go, my lovely? Dunno. But that niggling little urge is back, the one that creeps up on you quietly and gets more strident until it's yelling, don't just sit there thinking about it, you moron. Get off your backside and do it. What are you, a man or a chuffing church mouse? Yeah, that one, that urge. Actually, mice often do more than us dopes. That's a fable for another table. Let's see if I can squeak a little something out right now, just to calm me down a bit. Here goes nothing. In square brackets, some minutes later, see right. There, nibble on that. I knew it'd be a screamer. So I managed to write a poem. And the poem, you know what? Explaining poems with words is one of the stupidest things you can ever do. Anyway, so here's the poem, Graveyard Blues. Possibly going to, maybe you can see that if you've got this full screen. Go for full screen and you'll be able to see it better. Graveyard Blues. And this one was really based on the picture. Normally, the poem can stand alone from the picture, but now that I am almost always publishing them on the picture, there's sometimes links, and this one, I must admit, you kind of need the picture. But why not? You know, there's no rules. I'm becoming the poetry and picture guy. That's the way it is. It doesn't matter. So, Graveyard Blues. Boo, says the battered ghost, and the tombstone cracks. Boo-hoo, cries the cradled baby, rightly rattled. Gravely place an angel's face by a red apple candle. Happy pumpkins battle, fie with bone-dry facts. The rhythm is not quite there, you see. You have to say it a few times to get the rhythm. Graveyard Blues. Boo, says the battered ghost, and the tombstone cracks. Boo-hoo, cries the cradled baby, rightly rattled. Gravely place an angel's face by red apple candle. Happy pumpkins battle, fie with bone-dry facts. So like I said, I'm going to read poems, and I'm not going to apologize for them. You know, the typical thing is you say, well, it's not very good, or it's a bit crap, or I didn't spend much time on, or false modesty, I only spent 5 minutes on it, and in fact, it's quite good, all this sort of crap. I'm just going to really try and, the words are the words. Trying to explain poetry with other words is folly. It's ridiculous. It could be fun, because there's a lot of wordplay, a lot of stuff you've imagined, double meanings, triple meanings, and you'd like other people to realize how clever you are. But then that borders on pretentiousness. So, so there you go. Yeah, I think you probably get what I'm saying. All right. Coming up to the hour mark. Now, what's going to happen is that this, as a SATSANG or a SABSANG, the ones I've watched, the one that I particularly like, it actually lasts for 2 hours. The guy just talks for 2 hours answering questions on deep and meaningful things. And it's marvelous. It's like a kind of Sunday evening meditation. If you want to check him out, he's called GP Walsh. He's not competition. He's on Sundays. I'm on Saturdays. And so I was thinking, how long should this be? And some people say, I started this show on Facebook, and I thought an hour was pretty good for an in-depth discussion with someone. And my co-presenter said, people have very short attention spans. Maybe we should just be half an hour. So I said, okay. The first 8 shows have lasted 1 hour each. Okay, I talked for half an hour on my own after everyone had left, right? No. So, I was thinking, what should this be? Well, I thought, absolutely, people do have short attention spans. But then again, I thought, why don't you just jump in anywhere and see what I'm talking about? Why would that be a problem? So I like talking. I like discussing questions and showing my art. And, if it goes for 1 hour, then I'll stop at 1 hour. If it goes for 2 hours and I've still got a voice, well, it doesn't matter. You can watch the first hour. You can watch the first 5 minutes. You could watch from minutes 73 to 87. It doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter. Whatever time you jump in, I'll be talking about something. And if you want a little sampler of me, even if it's 5 minutes, then go for it. Who cares? If it's fun, it's worth doing. I'm gonna leave my creations there for a second. Let me get rid of this. Now, Paris metaphor. I'm going to share with you a metaphor which I've shared before. It's probably the sort of star metaphor of a book I'm planning on writing on Paris metaphors. It's using Paris as a metaphor for life and ways of looking at life and getting some more clarity on it. I live in Paris. Well, I live near Paris. Paris is my thing. So I'm going to do metaphors linked to Paris. And here it is. We need a map. And the map is the map of Paris. And here's what I'm going to talk about, the metro system. My son is a fan of the metro. And so am I, actually. Tomorrow I'm going to spend all day going around the metro with my son, if I wake up, because it's now 6 o'clock and I haven't been to bed. There's a line here, which is called line 2. There's a blue one, and it goes around the top of Paris like this, you see? It goes around the top of Paris. Round to here, a station called 𝗪𝗠. And then you can get off at 𝗪𝗠, and you can go on another line, which goes around the bottom. Is this the right way around? Yeah, it is the right way around, cool. So there's this other line you can get off. You can go around the bottom of Paris like this. Okay, it goes around like that in a loop. And it actually crosses the Seine again a couple of times, and it meets the first one, right? You've got these two lines like this. And what I do sometimes is I take someone on one of those lines. We're in a cafe, we have a chat, then we get on one of those lines, line 6, for example, near the Eiffel Tower. We take that line, we go along to the end of it, crossing over the river, looking at the Eiffel Tower. It's very cool. And we get off and we take another line. Now, the person doesn't know they're all linked. So they get on the other one, and it's going around the top of Paris like this. And we see rich quarters, and we see poor quarters, and we go overground, and we go underground, and we see funny people on the trains. Sometimes we get off and we do things. And eventually you get round to the end of that line. We change trains. The guy doesn't, or the gal, or the people don't know they're changing onto the first train again, the one that goes around the bottom. They're going around this, see more stuff, have more discussions, then we get off and we go to a cafe. Ta-da! It's the same cafe. So they think they've gone on a huge trip somewhere and they're going to end up on the other side of Paris, and they get off at the same cafe that they left from. So what? What's the metaphor? Well, maybe you can guess. The metaphor is when they get off and they go back to that cafe, they're not the same person as they were before. We're not the same person from minute to minute, or from second to second, or from moment to moment. But they're not the same person. They're sitting in the same cafe, maybe 2 hours later. But they've got new memories, they've got new thoughts, they've got new experiences. Maybe they fell off and, hurt their knee, and now they've got a sore knee. Maybe they had a lovely ice cream and they can still taste it on their lips. They're not the same person, but they're in the same cafe, in the same seat with the same guy across from them. Me, who also isn't the same person. Because I've now got an experience of going around those lines with that person. Very often, people feel they need to go out there and find what they're looking for. Find happiness, find the right person, find a better house, find a better country to live in, find a better job. And they go traveling, literally traveling, traveling to other countries, changing houses, changing cars, changing partners. Changing children would be a bit difficult, but some parents might want to do that as well, I guess. Some kids would probably want to change their parents. And they're going, looking for something out there. And they don't realize that they'll come back home, literally to the same home, or it's kind of coming back to themselves and realizing that home was there all the time. And what they've learnt on their journey has changed them and made them see things differently. And if they're wise or able to, it will have helped them see things in a better way through the people they've talked to, the experiences they've had, their own insights and revelations sometimes. Or possibly they've come to Paris to see me, and they've had insights when they've been with me. They go back to their same house, just like they went back to the same cafe after doing the trip on the metro. And they're not the same person. They've had new ideas, and this will help them see their current situation in a different way. So that's the metaphor. I think that's my style metaphor for my future Paris book on Paris as a metaphor for life. And I'm working on that. And this show is going to help me build those. Hopefully I'll be able to present you with one a week for the next few months and publish my book. And it'll be another one on the shelf for Paris books, because a lot of people do it, but most of them are about macaroons and cool bakeries and museums to visit. And my book ain't going to be like that. Right, if you are watching this, welcome. It's my new show, and it's called The Saturday SATSANG, even though it's not quite Saturday anymore, because it took me about 24 hours to actually get my finger out and go live. It's the first, and it's not going to be the last. If you want to say hello, you can leave a comment. To leave a comment, you need to be on the Infinity Coaching Facebook page. You leave comments elsewhere, I won't see them, I'm afraid. Just say hello, say where you're from. And if you've got a question about anything I offer you up for consideration, ask me the question and I will talk about it. That's what I'm here for. That's what a SATSANG is. I'm calling this a SABSANG because I don't like doing things that have been done by other people. So SATSANG is a thing that already exists. A SABSANG is new and it's got my name in it. A SATSANG means originally in Sanskrit or something, in Indian traditions or philosophical traditions from the East, it means an assembly of truth or an assembly of good people, if you like. And the idea is one person shares some stuff and the others think about it, and depending on the style of the satsang, they ask questions, and the person who is kind of holding it for that week will respond. So it's not like a huge debate or anything. There's one person who's got something to say, to share, and it's definitely not that they know. Okay, in sort of, spiritual teachings, often the person who is doing the sharing of stuff to think about does know a lot about that topic. But there's no idea of, I know the stuff, you want to know it, listen carefully. If you're not too stupid, you'll be as clever as me one day. It's just absolutely the opposite of that. So in that spirit, I want to offer creative ideas, inspirational ideas in my style. That's all I can do. I can't do it in anyone else's style. So I'm going to offer you everything I possibly can from my experience to help you get inspired and make your experience a more interesting one. So that's the thing. Right. So in my little ramble here, I've done the introduction, which was the theme. I exist, therefore what? That's the big question. And is it even the right way around? The traditional thing is, as I said earlier, is I exist, therefore I am. No, I think, therefore I am. But it could be that I am, therefore I think. And we could go further into that in another show, possibly. We've done the Paris metaphor. We've done the creative selection, where I showed you some of my photographs, some of my writings, a poem that popped out of nowhere. I haven't shown you any paintings yet. And we've done the Paris metaphor. Now, if you're just joining me, do feel free to ask questions. That's what it's about. A SABSANG, which is my version of a SATSANG, is about me sharing stuff and you asking questions or making comments and me talking about them. So without you guys, it's the first one. So I'll give you a few weeks, to get brave enough to ask me a question. But be careful, I might answer it. And so the next section is 6 sections. Okay, recent insights, weekly meme. These sections could change. I'm just trying it out. Weekly meme that I've created. And looking forward, basically I couldn't think of anything for the last section, so I called it looking forward. And I even added a new one, random happenings. Recent insights. I saw a video with a guy. Now, talking about gurus, which I'm not. I mean, I'm not a guru. except in the tradition, in the real sense, which means a dispeller of darkness, which is a beautiful thing to be, I think, helping others to see more clearly. But there was this guy I discovered. I discover a new sort of guru type guy about once a week. It's just crazy. This guy, if anyone could resemble a guru, this was it. Huge beard, Indian, robes, just amazing, just amazing. And I watched this talk with him. I'm hoping there's a picture in the book that I bought. Yeah, there is. It's great. It's amazing. Just check this out. This is what he looks like. It'd be nice if my camera would focus. There you go. Check that out. What a nutter. Wild hair and everything. He looks like a complete loony. And he is so wise, so articulate, so amazing. And he's called Sadhguru. Can you believe that? Sadhguru. I don't know if the H there, you're supposed to say Sadhguru or something like that, but everyone that I see talking to him calls him Sadhguru. That's what I can make out. Which is kind of unfortunate, you know, because like guru, it has negative connotations, and sad means sad. Sometimes people call me sad. Sometimes they don't check the spell check. They're saying, hi, Sab, and the spell check turns it into sad, you know, hi, sad. Anyway, this guy's called Sadhguru. But he's far from sad. He's actually very funny. He tells lots of jokes, but they're kind of jokes to show how crazy humans are. You know, that sort of joke that makes the message much easier to swallow. And I love that. That's exactly what I want to be like, you know, just make light of other people's... It's not making fun. It's never making fun, but it's using humor to help people see what they would really be helped by seeing. So I'm just going to give you one gem from this guy. This is his book, Inner Engineering, A Yogi's Guide to Joy. And the thing that grabbed me from this 50-minute talk was something he said, and that was, the reason humans are unhappy or not satisfied is because they have the maybe misfortune to have been given two amazing faculties. The first one is an incredible ability to remember stuff, an incredible memory. And the second is this fantastic ability to imagine things, an incredible imagination. So what actually makes us human, these incredible gifts that have allowed us to get to this wonderful, wonderful position where we can destroy the planet as many times as we like, is an incredible memory and an amazing imagination. You see, there's these two sides to it. Memory is like going to the past. Imagination is what could be in the future. Absolutely fantastic. And yet, what does it mean? It means we spend a hell of a lot of time living in the past or the future, but in the present. I mean, spending our present moments remembering the past, very often regretting it, or dreaming about some wonderful future that isn't here yet and is never going to come. I'll link that to sort of hammer home the point in another thing that I heard recently. And this was very simple and very profound as well. And that is that, I can't remember who said it or anything. People are depressed. People are depressed because they're living in the past, and they're anxious because they're living in the future. In other words, depression is only because we've got memories and we're comparing today to some past, which isn't the same. Of course, the past doesn't exist anymore. Our memories are present memories. We've got them in the present, which refer to something we call the past, but the memories are in the present. We're experiencing them in the present, but we get depressed because the only reason you get depressed is because you imagine that there's something called the past, and which used to be better, for example. And the only reason we're anxious or worried is because we have an imagination and we imagine some terrible future where everything goes wrong, a future present. But the problem is that future doesn't exist. It's like you wake up and it's raining and you've got to go to work and you don't like your work and you don't like the rain and you feel terrible. You feel terrible because of the future rain you're going to be walking in and the future job that you're going to be working in. But you're in your damn bed, for crying out loud. You're not in the rain and you're not at your job that you don't like. You're in your bed. What could be better than being in bed? Oh, I love my bed. So we're inventing these problems by imagining a terrible future and regretting some awful past. But we do all of that in the present, thanks to these wonderful faculties of amazing memory and incredible imagination. That's great for what it's been great for, but it's terrible for leading a good life. We're depressed because we live in the past in our present. We're anxious because we live in the future in our present. We bring the past into our present, get depressed about it. We bring the future into our present, get anxious about it. And what's happened to the present? Oops. Oh, that was my life. So that's my insight for today. And I would recommend this book. Well, check him out on YouTube. There's a really great show. I can't remember what it's called. It's not the IQ thing. Anyway, it's a great show. I can, ask me if you want to know what it is and I'll write it in the comments. And a great interview with this guy. He's funny, he's profound, incredibly articulate, but he comes from a Western point of view and delivers like knowledge bombs. I think that was the title of the show that I watched that he was on. Delivers veritable knowledge bombs that just make you sit there thinking, yeah. But he's got this guy, Sadhguru. He's got this way of relating it to ways we can understand. It's not total woo-woo. I say woo, I'm moving towards woo, I think myself. But for people who can't stomach, too spiritual stuff, he brings it back down to common sense, obvious stuff that just makes you sort of, yeah, of course. And then he, gives you ways of working on it. He's very practical. He believes in things like countries. You would think a guru wouldn't, beyond religion, beyond countries, imagine all the people living life as one. But he's a realist as well. And he says, how can you, for example, he does a lot of work in India. He's Indian. He does a lot of work in India. And a guy interviewing him said, why do you spend so much time in India? What about the rest of the world? Because the guy wasn't from India. Hey, what about us? What about us? Think the Indians are better than the rest of us? And the guy says, no, but there's like 1.3 billion Indians. So it's not a bad place to start. They're not all scrabbling in the mud in sort of, loincloths. The guy interviewing him, very respectful guy, but it was he looked like a sort of white city banker. So you can imagine where he might have been coming from. So this guy, this Sadhguru guy, also has a very nice way of reminding people of a little bit more what reality is than sometimes they realize it is. So yeah, why not just start with 1.3 billion and then we'll. But he goes all over the world anyway. So check out his YouTube videos. They're great, really great. Lovely way into a more spiritual way of looking at life. That's my recent insight. If you have insights, let me have them, especially based on what I'm saying. The idea is that I stimulate you to make comments and share questions, ask questions about what I've given you. So it's not really a free-for-all. The spirit of a SATSANG, or I've turned it into a SATSANG, is that one person offers stuff. It happens to be me. And you hopefully get something out of it, but it's not just listening, it's asking questions. and I respond. There's tons of ways of interacting. There's plenty of chat shows, there's plenty of discussions, interviews, all the rest of it. I kind of fell in love with a format with one particular guy. He's a spiritual teacher, and he just sits there, gives a bit of wisdom, and then people start asking questions in the chat, and he answers them the way he can and gives you things to think about. And then another person asks a question and he answers that one. So it's a very, very nice forum. You don't get big heated arguments. You don't go off the point unless he goes off the point. But then that's kind of the point. You know, you're there because you like listening to him. So I'm hoping to offer something which is of interest and value to someone. And that's all I can possibly hope to do. You do need to be on the Facebook page Infinity Coaching to ask questions, because I won't see them otherwise. This could be shared in other groups. Please do share it. But if you want to ask questions, have me answer them and see them, you need to be on Infinity Coaching page, which is linked in the comment, I think, at the top of where you're watching this. But it's also, you can get to it. It's not actually Infinity Coaching. It's Facebook Infinity Coaching Paris. That'll find it. And it's got a big rainbow colored infinity symbol. All right, moving along to the weekly meme. Now, this is something I might make a regular weekly thing, or I might not. We'll see how it goes. So another thing I create is memes. I'll tell you the story. You know what a meme is. It's one of those things where generally people get a meme. People generally get some cute sunset or baby or loving couple or something, or a flower off the internet. So someone else's photo. They get some quote from someone else, or more often than not, they find some cutesy photo with some cutesy quote, and they post it on their page. And don't be offended, because I do it as well. I did it in the past. Then I moved on to creating my own memes with other people's words, but I created the visual and I added my own version of it. And now I got so sick of people just passing on these things. You know, they're so banal. What are they supposed to do? They don't mean anything. You know, you've seen them a million times. What are they supposed to make you look clever, make us have a better life? They don't. They really don't. They're just more stuff cluttering up our Facebook feed. So I thought, look, I'm calling myself a creative person. What the hell am I doing reading these things? I'm going to create my own. So I grabbed my photographs, I grabbed some words from my head, and started making my own memes for what they're worth. So if I post them on my pages, I'm still posting damn memes, but at least I kind of redeem myself by saying, at least they're my photographs and they're my words. So my memes look like this. I'm going to share my screen. I don't have a meme that I created this week. I'm hoping this is going to inspire me to do some. So let me share my screen again. Application window, and here it is. All right, so that was where I was. And this is a page that I have for memes. And it's called the Meme Streets of Paris. I'm doing memes on themes. Hey, memes on themes. That's cool. These ones are kind of life, the universe, and everything type stuff. But I've started doing memes on coaching and stuff like that. But these ones are just me, random memes, basically looking at my photographs and seeing what comes out of my head. And this is what I do in terms of memes. And it could be a mixture of anything. I honestly don't know what they're going to be. It could be a little bit embarrassing, but anyway. When someone tells me they have a great sense of humor, I never laugh. Isn't that funny? So this reminds me what my take on memes is. I want it to have a profound meaning, deliver some sort of hard-hitting message, but be a bit funny, possibly with a bit of clever language play in there. That's what I want from a meme, and I very rarely get it. So that's one of the reasons I create my own. Even if I'm the only one who thinks that it's kind of deep and meaningful and really helpful and clever, well, at least I had fun making it. So there's one. And here's another one. What does this say? This is what I was telling you about before. It's the tomb in the in the Montmartre cemetery with my name on it. Look, there it is. Will. Can you see? That's my second name, Will. I've got a tomb waiting for me in Paris. Way! I'm so happy about that. I see the irony in life where others see ironing, and I flatly refuse to change. Explaining memes is very dangerous because it's very close to explaining a poem. Because if you explain it, you actually try to make it justify it and show how clever and good it is. And if you do that, you're kind of screwed because you end up just coming across as someone who just thinks they're great. And that's not what it's about. It's like trying to explain a joke, why a joke's funny. That's a disaster. You're dead. You're dead if you do that. You can never, you tell a joke, and if people laugh, it worked. And if they don't, it didn't. But to explain the thing. So anyway, so that's what this is like. I can only say it to you. And you can only see what you see. I'm not going to start saying, you see how clever it is because I did this and that. I see the irony in life where others see ironing, and I flatly refuse to change. Next. This is some graffiti from Paris. Stunning graffiti everywhere. I've even done some of my own. It's not actually graffiti, but it's my paintings. Art isn't there to enlighten us. We enlighten ourselves. Art can help. So that is saying, maybe I want to make some comments sometimes. I like that because art is everywhere, but that doesn't mean it enlightens us. It makes us better people. It's what we see in the art. The art is there. And then it's up to us to see what we see. If you see crap, you'll see crap. If you see something amazing, you'll see something amazing. It depends on how you see things. It depends on your life experience, your attitude. And I mean, you can go from finding something awful, like modern art, awful, to calling it interesting. You don't have to say you like it, but you know, it can be interesting because with some art, which I think, why the hell did someone do that? Well, that's why it's worthwhile. Not because I like it, if I don't like it, but there's interest to be had in saying, why the hell did he do that? You know, what on earth is she trying to say? In that, art that you don't like visually can still be interesting. I'll show you a couple more, eh? Now, I'm going to be producing new ones for the show every week. Otherwise, I'm not living up to my own standards of creativity. I want to be giving you new memes as part of the show every week. So I haven't done it, so I'm regurgitating old stuff. This is a dog with a reflection of the Eiffel Tower in a puddle, upside down. Don't expect anything. That way, you're open to everything. I like this a lot. Some of my memes, I have to admit, are kind of rehashes of other people's ideas, obviously, because I mean, most of the wise stuff has already been said in life, I reckon. It's just, it was said about 3,000 years ago, and we're more interested in playing Pokemon than reading the sages from ancient China. But anyway, I like this. Don't expect anything. So often we expect something. And how often does life go exactly according to plan? Never. And when it doesn't go according to plan, we're pissed off. We're sad. We're annoyed. You know, why didn't the universe do what I wanted it to do? And the antidote is to not expect anything. Because then whatever happens is great. Whatever happens is a surprise. Whatever happens is good. I like that one a lot. I'll give you two more. Now, this is from a station where they decided to put these. It's the newest station, let's say. It's on line 14. It was the first metro line that had no driver. My son kind of likes it, kind of hates it. You can sit at the front and you can see out. It's like you're driving. They've even put fake controls there. But sometimes it's a bit scary, the way the doors close. And it accelerates really fast. So they put these plaques all over this station of sort of wise words. It's really good. Anyway, here are my words. You'll do it when you're ready. That'll never happen. The only ready you ever need to be is to see what happens. That'll do it. This one's a bit more complicated. You'll do it when you're ready. That'll never happen. In other words, from what I remember, for what I meant is, you'll never be ready. So it'll never happen. You're never ready. The only ready you ever need to be is to see what happens. In other words, ready to see what happens when you try. That's the only ready you need to be. And then when you do that, it'll be fine. Because we spend a lot of time in our lives waiting to be ready, get the confidence, then I'll do it. I just need to have this, I just need to do this course, I just need to have this qualification, I just need to know these people, blah-de-blah-de-blah. And that's a wonderful excuse for never actually getting off your backside. A good example of that this week. I was in a group, a Facebook group, where I spend far too much of my life. And it was a group where you're supposed to post some Facebook Live videos, go live, just like this. And a lot of people haven't done it before, and they're nervous about it. And I remember one woman writing, I'm just waiting to get the confidence to do my first Facebook Live. What is wrong with this sentence? Well, what's wrong with it is that it's the wrong way around. It should be, I'm going to do my first Facebook Live to get confidence. Because that's the way it works. It doesn't work the other way around. You don't get confidence out of nowhere. Like, oh, I'm really nervous about doing my Facebook Live. Oh, wait, here comes confidence. Yeah, way, I'm really confident. Okay, right, let's hit the button. No, it doesn't work like that. It works the other way around. You do the Facebook Live. And after you've done it, you feel more confident. You think, well, that wasn't so bad. I won't feel so bad about pressing the button next time. And that's pretty much it in everything. You can read a book about riding a bike or ice skating or something, but, it's not going to make you more confident. Confidence comes from falling off, then falling off a bit less, and then almost staying up, and then being sure the next time you'll get it. That's where confidence comes from. Did I have one more in this row? Yes. Oh my God, this is the artist in me. Look at this. What a nutter. Every 10 photographs in my Paris photo chronicles, I include a self-portrait. This isn't about narcissism. It's about watching me grow old creatively. I call this series of self-portraits. They're not selfies, they're self-portraits. And I started them back around about the turn of the century, and way before selfies, before smartphones. And the reason for that was, when I was looking around for a model to do something weird with, I was always there. So it was kind of handy. And I try to make every single photograph I take of myself different, unique, utterly not the same as any that has ever been taken before. And what happens is, it's a good challenge creatively, but you also see yourself growing old. I call it creative disintegration, this series. And every 10 days I publish a new one with the text. It's in the series, but every 10 days, watch me trying to be as creative as possible as I am in the process of dying as we know it. So, if anyone accuses me of pretension or something like that, I can quickly bring them down to earth. This is basically me watching myself die. And it's kind of scary, but it also is kind of edifying. It helps me come to terms with my own mortality, so that when I do get towards the end of this life, as I know it, as I'm experiencing it right now, I will be able to look back and think, well, that was my life and it was okay. I did some shit, I did some stuff. And, from day to day, I did stuff every day. So the thing about creating every day is you can look back on every day and think, that's what I did today. And it was okay. Whereas if you don't create every day, even if it's a couple of lines for a poem or a book you're writing, or a few notes that you're practicing, or making a new meal, or sewing a few lines of your grandchild's scarf, or whatever, if you do that, you can look back on it and be pleased with it. And if you don't, you kind of wonder what's going on, or even if you have much of a life. So I thoroughly recommend creating as often as you can, but it doesn't have to be all the time. It doesn't have to be every minute. But what about if it was every day? You know, you've got a lot of hours in the day. We all have the same. And what about if you just spent one of them or 30 minutes of them, if you're not going to get completely wrapped up in it and spend half the day, which might happen when you get in the flow? Why not just spend an hour on something, on a project, a creative project? And that's what I did on the 1st of January 2018. And today I published something like number 588 or 87 of my series of Paris Photo Chronicles. 588. Where did that come from? Well, it came from an hour every day. And now I've got enough for a book. People can read it, they can see what I'm like, and hopefully get something out of it. From just developing habit without thinking. It has to be without thinking. You can cheat the universe, you can cheat the ego by making something into a habit so that you don't question it, you don't find reasons not to do it. The thing is making it a habit. Once it's a habit, you just do it because that's what you do. It's like brushing your teeth. I brush my teeth, me. That's one of the things I do. I get dressed in the morning. That's one of the things I do. I write an article and publish a photograph. That's one of the things I do. It's entered that realm. And you can make a creative act that you really want to do enter that realm if you give it a go. That's my memes, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And I'm moving towards the end of this thing. I've had some viewers, which is good. People have come, people have gone, and it's been beautiful. And now the thing exists. This thing exists, and it didn't exist before. So let me talk about looking forward. So looking forward is looking to the next few weeks. Now, I'm moving away from making excuses, and I'm doing what I can to just turn up to things that I've decided to turn up to, whether I want to do it or not. It's kind of, I'm putting it beyond me. You know, tough luck if I don't want to do it. That's what I do. And I want this to enter that realm. I want these things to enter that realm where every Saturday I tell you about my week, I share my creations, my insights, and I ask you to comment and share yours. And it'll become a thing. Before I know it, it'll be another thing I do in my life. I'll look back on it and it'll become my legacy, part of my legacy. And I'll feel even more that my life has meant something. So I didn't want to do this. I was scared about it. I mean, I didn't. I put it off for about 24 hours. Then I went out there and I told people in a group I'm in, I told people that that's what I wanted to do and I was having trouble doing it. It's a bit like asking the universe for help. I asked my people I knew. I didn't even ask them. I said, this is what I really want to do and I'm having difficulty doing it. Bam, I got 2 or 3 people saying, you want to do it? Do it. We're there for you. We're waiting to see it. We're going to support you and we're not going to judge you. And that's why I'm here right now. That's why I'm here at 6 o'clock in the morning. What time is it? It's coming off at 7 in the morning and I haven't slept because I put it off for so long. But because those people said that to me and I said, okay, I'll do it before I sleep. That's why this now exists. Whoever's going to watch it in the future, I don't know, maybe someone's going to watch it in 10 years and get something out of this. But this now exists as long as I press the save the recording button at the end of it. This now exists. It's a thing. It's become part of my legacy. It's part of my life. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to, spend the next year looking at it sort of bleary-eyed and thinking how wonderful it is. Or thinking how crap it is. As soon as I press that button, it's gone. I'm not going to watch it again. I'm going to put it somewhere so that people can watch it, but that's gone. Now I'm on to the next thing. And the next thing will be great. I'll love doing it. What's my definition of great? It's certainly not whether you like it or not, including whether you like it or not. You see what I mean? If you like it, that doesn't make it great. And if you don't like it, that doesn't make it great or crap either. If you like it, that means you get something out of it. And if you don't like it, that means you don't get something out of it. But that's up to you. I had a problem with someone recently when I made a comment in a group and it didn't go down well. I was just trying to be helpful or start a conversation instead of just saying, oh, great, which doesn't always help. That didn't work with this person. But I didn't get drawn in. And I said to myself, look, how you react to me isn't any of my business. Because what this person would have loved, or the ego of this person would have loved, would be for me to jump in and start a kind of fisticuffs, sort of verbal fisticuffs, defending my comment. And she would say, no, you hurt me, you're an unfeeling person, blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, no, I'm not, how dare you? And anyway, you're an idiot. And don't call me an idiot, you're an idiot. No, I'm not an idiot. So this was on the cards. And I didn't do it. I didn't go there. It doesn't mean that my comment wasn't insensitive or that it was. It was what it was. She interpreted it the way she interpreted it. I can't do anything about that. What could I do? I don't know how she's going to react. She could have thought it was amazing. She could have loved it for not just being another sort of smarmy, oh, that's great, well done. And actually trying to contribute something, actually make her grow somehow. She didn't take it that way. That's not my problem. That's the way it is. So that's all I wanted to say about that. So yeah, looking forward, I'm going to carry on. I've started this now, so now I've done it. The next one won't be the first one. And people will come and people will go, and some people will like it, and some people won't, and some people will be inspired by it. That's my hope. And some people won't, and that's the way it goes. So that's my looking forward section. I had a kind of random happening section, but I can't remember what I was going to say in it. Yes, I can. And for this, I have to show you my phone. I hope you can hear me. I've been speaking kind of quietly because I didn't want to wake the neighbours, but it's too late now. As we've been on this show, it's gone from night to day, and I'm getting tired. But remarkably, not that tired, because this energy has been keeping me going. So my random thing is, I wanted to show you a picture of something and see if you know what it is. Right. Yeah, here it is. All right. So to start off with, what do you think this is? Oh my God, what the hell is that? Well, if you're not sure, let me show its next incarnation, which looks like that. Trying to get it sharp. Hello. All right, so this thing, which doesn't want to go sharp, is eggy thing, kind of eggy omelette thing, with the green nasty stuff. And if you can see, there's some sort of purple stuff leaking out of it as well there. So camera, how do you make the camera go sharp? Doesn't want to, does it? Let me see if I can make my fingers go sharp. There you go. Look at that. Check that out. So there's this sort of green mush with this purple blood pouring out of it from these purple berries. And what it actually is, well, it ended up like that. Okay, me eating loads of stuff. What it actually is spinach, frozen spinach, defrozen, and it's all mashed up with blueberries, which were also frozen. I decided I would put frozen blueberries into my frozen spinach, heat it in the microwave, and well, spinach is good for you, and so are blueberries. So I nuked them. I hope that didn't kill everything. And that was pretty random, I think. And I had it with a sort of eggy omelette type thing. How about that, eh? So that's my random thing. If you've got any random things, feel free to share. But random things with a bit of, bit of oomph, a bit of learning thing in there. I guess my learning point would be for my diet, to impress my diet and health coach, friend, who is called 𝗪𝗪𝗪, a lovely lady from Romania who is living in Germany, and she helps me out on inspiring me to do things like eat wonderful creations. And I don't know what she's going to think of that yet, but there it is. What I haven't done is shown you any paintings. I'll show you one quickly, but I won't say anything about it because that could be for another day. So another thing I want this show to do is to inspire me to paint a lot, which in turn I hope will inspire you to be creative That's all I want. Well, I want two things: inspire myself to keep on creating and inspire you guys to create as well, because creativity is one of the best ways of feeling alive. I'm convinced of that. I'm sure it's true. Because if you think about it, and this was a meme I did actually, we're inherently born creative creatures. What is the greatest creative act of all? Well, it's creating another human being. That's what we live for. That's what we do. It's our raison d'être. You know, we live and we breathe and we eat and we poop and we pee just to carry on living long enough to be able to produce another human being. So this is kind of symbolic to create stuff, but it's, you know, it's strong symbolism. When we create, we feel good because that's what we're supposed to do. So this is one of my latest paintings. And I call it Jelly Bean. This one is Jelly Bean 3, I think, something like that. And I'll tell you the story of my 𝗦𝗁 paintings another time. I won't be here next week. I will be in the north of England, but I'm hoping to be able to do a Saturday SATSANG just like this one, although it won't be exactly the same. I hope my parents have got a good internet connection. They're in the Lake District, and I might not have as many things to show you, physical things to show you, but I can still chat away on my internet screen and show you a couple of things there. And hopefully I'll have more people and people will ask questions. So you're all very quiet today and didn't ask any questions, although I saw some of you sneaking in and having a look. So as time goes on, no doubt I'll get more people and you'll ask questions and it'll be more interactive. So I'm going to sign off now. Coming on for 2 hours, just like my mega spiritual teacher guru guy. I'm kind of impressed with myself. It was fun for me. And if you actually did make it to here, or if you just watched the last 5 minutes to see what I say, this is what I'm saying. And I really appreciate you taking the time to watch even a couple of minutes of this. Why not? Check it out. And I'll talk to you again next week, hopefully, or if not, in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. But hopefully next week. Hopefully it'll be on Saturday because it's called the Saturday SATSANG. And I'd love to have your feedback and can't wait to see your comments, your contributions, and how you're being creative in the world as well. That's all for this time. As my throat gives out, and someone has just come along and I'm just about to finish. So hello, person. You've just missed the first 1 hour and 46 minutes of this mega marathon creative and sharing type thing. You can say hello if you want. Hello in the comments. You've got to be on Infinity Coaching Facebook page to share a comment because I won't see it otherwise. And if you do, I will reply. And if not, I won't. That's all for now. Over and out from the suburbs of Paris, and see you again next week, hopefully. Bye for now.